Work. Couldn't be more excited this morning and having this call. I guess I say that every time, but I am legitimately excited about this call and the fact that not only for the folks who are on the call now, we appreciate you for dialing in. And if you didn't dial in, I'll still be here talking, talking to myself or talking to the people who are going to wake up later and connect and hear more about this program today. But we truly do appreciate you connecting with us. And for those of you on the call for the first time, we welcome you to the Dream Makers Network. And we've been hosting this call now for into our 11th year, um, over a decade now. It'll be 11 years in September. So it's amazing to have had kind of the consistency of focusing on personal development for a decade. It's so amazing. I recently actually joined another mastermind group called the Momentum Mastermind. It's about 6 people, and the leader of that group was doing introductions, and he said, well, we have Byron Dees, who's been a part of a mastermind for over a decade. And I was like, wow, and I made me think about what Brother Morris, or I think it was Dwayne Mitchell, who said that. And it's something to be able to talk about, look back over the past decade, and we've had kind of that consistent message of personal development uh, and what that really means for us individually. And then what does it mean to have an intention of personal development coupled with the objective of a mastermind and having a collective of people who are also focused on personal development and what's possible when you are just intentional at that level. And that's what this is about. The opportunity to be intentional on purpose for the mastermind to help to identify people where they are relative to also with where they're headed, where they want to go. And if we're in a position to just get organized and like my granddad used to say, get on one accord, to really focus on what it is that we're here to do to help take our lives to the next level. And I think I would say I definitely on personal level, when I think about taking my life to the next level, it's not singular. It is I can see other people who are benefiting from my own personal goals. And if it was just me, if it was, I remember we have that, sometimes we have that conversation around shying away from being ambitious or shying away from focusing on goals and talking about things about personal development. And I look at it as, because I remember growing up and people they used to use the word, oh, that person's conceited, or thinks too much of himself, if you will. But that's when you see your goals and your growth, and it's only you only see what you're about to get, how it's only going to benefit you. But when you look at your goals today and you think about how you want to grow in this life, what levels, the things that you're hoping to gain, the things that you're hoping to do that you're not already doing, but you want those things into your life. And if you only still see yourself and no one else is being benefited by that, then yeah, maybe you are conceited. But I can tell you, and over the last 10 years of working with you guys one-on-one and seeing the growth in your lives and hearing about what you're working on next, there are people who their lives have completely been changed because of your willingness to pursue what it is that you believe you're here to do in this life. I've sat back and watched it happen. That you've been able to hire people and give people a career, being able to add value to your family's lives, to marriages, and to other people's marriages. I mean, it's beyond a blessing to uh, have your ears and your heart connected with what the creator wants you to do in this life, and to watch how other people's lives also are growing, also are being changed. And that is what this is about. When we think about why should we do something that we're not already doing. Like, why should we spend time working on ourselves? Why should we spend time doing something that's outside of our comfort zone? Why should we do it? And for me, that is the why of imagine what's going to happen when uh, all these things come together, and imagine making a commitment for the rest of your life doing that, and to be able to think further into the future. I had a conversation, I think it was yesterday, with someone. Man, I'm trying to think, who was I talking to, but it was we were talking about the topic of Tuskegee came up, and and I said, the blessing for me of being a part of that legacy is the fact that when I look into the future, I can still see, even as an old man, as me being an old man, still working to keep that legacy alive. And that's when you've kind of tapped into something that is, one, you're setting goals for yourself, but you're tapping into something that people were building long before I came. That in of itself is, for me personally, is something that makes me excited. It makes me excited about life. It makes me excited about what's next. The fact that I can say I'm working on something that was here before me, and if I do my job right, it'll be last long after me. And those are things, I can't speak for anyone else, but those are the reasons why personal development is important, because it gives you that energy, that excitement to work on something that you feel good about, that you think matters, that you're willing to sacrifice for. That's number one. But number two is to be able to be a part of something and help build something that will last beyond our lifetime. And some people say, well, why should I care? I'm not going to be here, you know? And I'll tell you, I've had conversations with folks who kind of had a singular mindset like that, who said, hey, listen, what I'm doing, I'm going to work hard for me. And when this is over, who cares? And I remember the first time I actually, and this was working with a client, and this client had done really well in business. And I was just like, at first I was really kind of thrown off by it, because my life was completely opposite to that. The things that I thought about and cared about and all that was completely opposite to that. And at first I was kind of, I don't know, thrown off by the whole, by it as a whole. But then it gave me an opportunity to share. And at the end of that conversation, we were able to unpack what he actually does care about, but had just swept under the rug so deeply because of other reasons. And it was just one of those, almost like a ministry moment, if you will, just to be able to, pose the right questions, ask the right questions, and then see what happens. To be able to, at that point, say, well, I recognize you don't have any kids, and you've divorced, and you kind of removed from your family, and you don't live in the city that you grew up in, and you've just been focused on your work. But right now, what are the things that kind of outside the job that matter to you, and why? Let's go back to childhood. What was great? What was good? What was bad? Like, and why? And beginning to, some people, man, I tell you, they will run from those things, run from things that were challenging at some point in their lives. And so it's just those type of moments that I don't think without this type of network, I would have been able to have a conversation like that with someone who, even though on the paper looked very successful and had all types of cool stuff going on financially and things like that. But when it was time to talk one on one, emotionally and spiritually, there was little there. There was little there for them to hold on to and to feel good about. And his life was, felt really sterile, if you will. And to be able to have these conversations that we've been having over the past decade, it's helped me. It's helped me to be able to have those types of engagements and conversations that was valuable to that brother, and to see how things have developed in his life now from a personal perspective. And so I'm just saying that I'm grateful. I'm grateful to each of you over the years. Thankful for the folks who will tap into this call and maybe reach out later. But it's just a blessing to have this network, have these type of opportunities to create just a singular focus on personal development and hear about what's going on in your lives right now and talk it through and let you be on your way. So thank you for this opportunity. And we look forward to hearing from you guys on the call today. All right. So we're actually now in February? February is almost done. Black History Month is at second month of the year. This year is already starting to roll and almost about to get away from us. But I definitely want to tap in to see where you guys are right now, how things are going with your goals, your ideas, the things that you're working on, the things that, maybe got a late start. Some people said, you know what, I'm not starting in January, I'm going to start in February, on really going after the goals that you've been working on, the things that matter. You're not shying away from those goals, but we want to hear about it. I tell you, and, on a personal level here, this week I'm in Baltimore, CIAA week, basketball tournament. Been just a great time here this week. So many. Last year was the first year since the pandemic that they've had it, and so to be able to see some of the progresses from last year to this year, but then even talking about what's next for next year and seeing the number of people come into the city and no issues, just great people getting a chance to connect. So it's definitely great to be here again this week and reconnect with folks. And so many good things. But I want to take a second before we dive into today's topic and things that I'm working on. Let's open up the call. What have you guys been working on? What's the good, the bad, the ugly? How do you feel about where you are right now as we're into the second month of the new year with your goals? Do you feel like you're making progress? If you are making progress, what's helped that progress? If you feel like you hit a roadblock, how do you feel about that? And what do you think will be your next step? Or you say, Dees, I hadn't started anything yet. And it's partly why I joined this call today. So so help me. so I hope you guys can help me get started. And that's cool too. I just think it's just good to, when you look at the folks who picked up the phone and called in, I look at the folks who are connecting online right now. You guys are doing this for a reason. You could have easily just said, I'm not with this right now, hung up. Or especially for those online, you could easily just say, okay, enough of that guy. Let's keep it going. But I want to hear from you guys. So let's take a second, open up the call. Anybody's willing to share, kind of talk about where you are, and then we'll just unpack it and go from there. So we'll open up the call now. Good morning, Brother Morris.
Good morning. Hey, I'll set it off this morning. I had an interesting February. I said, well, we going back to the last call, talking about. I was like, yeah, I'm not. January's not going to control me. I'm going to control my own life. Merely as an experiment, not as a duck move. Just like I'm gonna try. I just want to get some more control. So as one of the tangible things is a good tangible thing, probably outside of money, is health. That's always a great goal to have.
Yeah.
Every year, because that's something that you can always work on, right? You can always be getting more healthy or trying stuff, and that is a whole nother kind of experiment, because we don't. I don't want to say there's no blueprint to this thing, because there is a blueprint to health, but it's based on what you've done and how you morphed your body into what it is and the areas you need to work on the best. It's an experiment. You're always trying stuff. We should be always trying stuff, right? So February, I decided to one of the goals was to get right. That's part of this year's thing. To get better, and do some things that I can maintain for the duration of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had fallen off. I wasn't up to much for maybe the past 4 or 5 months before 2023 came. So I said, all right, let me get back right. February kicks off. I say, okay, I'm gonna, clean out the closet a little bit. This is what I usually do anyway. Clean out the cupboard. Make sure my vitamins are in order. Get good quality vitamins. That kind of stuff. Get my food sources better. But that's the step. So step one was to get to cleanse and get my food sources together. So part of that, I did something different, and I was like, I'm gonna make Black history in February. I'm Black. I'm making my own Black history. So I tried something that I had never done before, and it was historical for me. I tried. Typically, I do a cleanse. Just get a good one from one of the health food stores. You drink it for 3 days or whatever, and you just drink gallons of water and eat right, and you can kind of see yourself, the stuff coming out of you, right? This time online, the wife was like, yeah, they're doing. They say if you drink water for 4 days for 4 days straight, your body resets and your cells start to do all the stuff. And the dude, it's a quick hit. They can get you quick on Instagram. They make it seem good in 35 seconds. I said, okay, I'll do it. Why not? Let's do this, brother. When day one, then this is all it was water, and then I took the liberty of putting, not squeeze, like getting a lemon, just sucking it up and putting it in the bottom of my water cup and just filling up the water cup for 4 days, right? So for the first day, just water and with lemon. That's it. No food, no nothing, no juice. Day one, okay, I'm hungry, but all right, you work through it. Day two. That's when all of the addiction started working itself into my psyche, into my brain. My head was pounding, because I'm a coffee guy too. Coffee guy. I used to love coffee, and I say used to. I used to love coffee. I mean, I couldn't. My head was pounding. I couldn't even drive. I had to pull over. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do this, man. This is ridiculous. Not only am I hungry, like I feel ill. I literally felt like I'm about to throw up.
Wow.
How can you feel like you're about to throw up when you haven't eaten anything? That doesn't seem right. So I go into my history and I'm like, yo, all the things I've seen about sugar and caffeine and how it affects the body and the fact that this is addictive as cocaine and all this. And now I've never, I've never been addicted to cocaine. I've never even tried cocaine.
I never got addicted to it, right?
Right. I was strong enough to beat it. I did what I had to do, but it never held me down. But that sugar and that caffeine, like cleansing it from my body and all that, was tough. It was tough, and that's something that I will never forget. So, and then day 3 was better. I'm still just hungry, and then I made it in deep in the day. I made it to day 4, and then I started back on. I think I had a smoothie or something. Yeah, I had a smoothie starting on day 5. And then working my way back into a healthy diet. So I went to a different kind of cleanse. But since then, I definitely haven't had. Listen, brother, I have not had any more coffee. I'm done with that.
Wow. No more coffee.
And then I started thinking about the ways that my life was organized around coffee. I was like, oh, this is a junkie move. It's a junkie move. Oh, yeah. Which way you going to go? Well, I'm going to make a left here because I know there's a Dunkin' Donuts up this way. But I need to catch the Dunkin' on my way to this. Oh, oh man, hold on. Let me stop right now. And okay, I'm gonna get a little gas. I'm gonna do this. Or wait a second. Let me wake up. Let me wake up a couple of hours, hour earlier, because I want to make sure that I can make my coffee and have that right for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, surrounded my life, crafting my life around coffee and the sugar that went to it. And
wow.
I cannot believe I was strung out on this stuff. So, anyway. Very interested. So I went and found myself a good substitute, a mushroom blend with all kinds of different healthy mushrooms, and it's also got a little bit of cinnamon in it. So I still get a hot beverage in the morning,
Wait, say that again. A mushroom blend? What are we talking about right now? Like water and mushrooms? Or what are we talking?
Well, what they did was they took mushrooms, ground different kinds of mushrooms, grounded it up, sprinkled some seeds and some cinnamon in it, and and all kinds of other stuff. And but it's mainly a bunch of mushrooms, and it tastes, and it's in powder form. So you sprinkle it in there. It's called mud water.
Okay, I've heard of that. Okay.
You blend it. Yeah, you just blend it up, and it's good. It's decent. I mean, it's coffee-esque.
Okay.
As far as the taste goes, but it doesn't have all of the extra stuff. And I definitely have fallen far back on my. I had a good blend. I had two tablespoons, not tablespoons, two teaspoons of sugar. A splash of that vanilla, that French vanilla, a good splash of that. I have my thing down, so all that's done. I'm not
done.
That particular area has been cleansed. Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. And I just I don't say I'll never have another cup of coffee, but the way I felt exposed in addiction, that I was like, wow, and it was immediate, which was different than, in my estimation, like how people have health challenges, but it creeps up on them, right? So I don't know, maybe high blood pressure. A buddy of mine was talking about how he can't eat Chinese food with soy sauce anymore.
Oh, okay.
He's like, man, I'm about to go Chinese food with soy sauce. I love soy sauce so much that he's like, man, the last time I had it, I started to swell up. He's like, my high blood pressure. We're in that realm, right?
Yeah.
It creeps up on you.
Yeah, I agree.
This was, one day I was good. The next day I could not, had to pull over and just say, hey, I'm not gonna make it home. Call the family. Look, I'm pulling over. I'm pulled over into the gas station. I'm gonna go to sleep for 40 minutes in not even the gas station, the Panera Bread parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna lean back, hung over.
Wow.
And all I did was nap, and it wasn't hunger. It was crazy. So when it happened rapidly, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can see the addiction. Instead of it kind of creeping up on you slowly like something else. And then the doctor says to you, you have to change this. And you're like, but I feel fine. No, I didn't feel fine. Not at all. Not at all. So yeah, that was very interesting. But all for the good. So I feel better. I feel better now, and I feel good that not only because I didn't feel bad before, like as far as the coffee and the sugar went, but I feel even better now. That I was exposed to the issue, and I made adjustments to stop it.
Okay.
And that feels very good. That feels like that's chest out move. Like
yeah.
I quit coffee. I didn't need that. It had me, and I had me, but I beat it. And that kind of stuff. That personal development, however you do it.
Yeah.
Whether it's beating sugar and coffee, or whether it's making a new time on your, or a new weight that you hit when you're lifting, or something mental, like getting over on a coworker, like the person that gets on your nerves, and you finally figure out how not to let them get on your nerves. You feel good, like I beat that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. It feels good. So that was my most interesting thing that happened. This February.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. That's. But I got a couple of questions though. Here we go. Right. So when you did this, this was not about coffee, right? Like this was about when you said I'm going to do this, this 4-day water cleanse. It wasn't. Was coffee coffee the objective? Like I want to end coffee, or was it a byproduct of? Oh, I'm going through this process, but I really want coffee right now. I feel like I'm going through withdrawals. So was that it? Or was this really about coffee, about getting rid of coffee?
No, it was the latter. It was only really about just a reset, like a cleanse, because I have done cleanses before. Like they tell you, but they tell you it's okay to drink coffee, just don't put sugar in them. Or, so I was just, and I normally would cleanse, like do a colon cleanse, or sometimes a full body cleanse, or a heavy metal cleanse. Like, you do all kinds of cleanses. This is a whole shelf full at any health food store or what's the other spot? The vitamin shop,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, full of cleanses.
Yeah.
So I've done cleanses before. So as I was like, all right, I'm gonna reset and get back on my health side. The first thing I'm gonna do is cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna cleanse out all the stuff. And then the thing that reared its ugly head in doing this was that sugar and the coffee.
Yeah.
And that caffeine and how hard I was going with it. So yeah, I know, it just reared its head. Like, oh no, you need this. So you need to get rid of this, I should say.
Wow. Now the other part to it is, go ahead.
Why am I going through this withdrawal right now? I feel so sick right now. I haven't had coffee. In a couple of days. Trying to lay off this sugar. Oh, I feel like checking myself into the hospital.
Yo,
this withdrawal is crazy.
So real. And it's living inside you, just enjoying itself. Like, yeah, come on, until you stop, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Oh, terrible.
The more you were talking about it, the worse I was feeling. I'm like, oh, I need to go to rehab. Give me an IV drip or something. Something need to happen. I ain't feeling right at all. But I thought about it. I haven't had coffee since Byron, what day was that you were with me? Wednesday?
Yeah, Thursday, I think.
Coffee since then?
Thursday, I think.
Thursday I flew into Chicago.
Oh, actually, so yeah, maybe it was Wednesday.
Thursday, so it had to be like Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Man, you talk about withdrawal. So yeah, you spot on. I probably should just keep going. I'm gonna keep going. You have inspired me.
You can break through. You can break through. Now, is it the coffee or is it the sugar with the coffee? Because it could be one or both.
I haven't, you know what? At first I was blaming it all on coffee, and then I realized how aggressive I can be with sugar also. So I just let them both go and said that, all right, I'm done. Because my coffee also might have went with well, not every day, but I did love a cold can of Coca-Cola.
Whoa.
And that's
You were doing cocaine.
Oh yeah, I was on it. Listen,
It was the
I was
sugar.
in there. That's why I had to cleanse. I'm like, I gotta cleanse.
Yeah, that's
But I believe it's the sugar in conjunction with the caffeine, because I have had the no coffee headaches before. Like, if I go a whole day or forget, at the end of the day, I'll be like, I kind of got a headache. I need a cup of coffee, But it was casual.
This is a very convicting. It's interesting because I literally have like a cold brew and I don't do sugar at all. And I messed my foot up, so I can't move. And literally right beside me, I have what ounce is this? A 48 ounce or something that's kind of sitting by me. I'm just kind of sipping on it for the last 2 days. And I'm like, maybe I should stop this because I didn't sleep last night. Like, I didn't sleep. This is the first time I've been drinking this coffee again. I didn't sleep last night, like at all.
Whoa.
So this is the coffee phone call. This is a great intervention. Thank you, Paz. Thank you, Byron, for this. I appreciate this intervention.
I don't.
Oh, dude.
Hey, Paz. So, excuse me, this is James here. Paz, you mind me asking, how much weight did you lose? Or did you lose any weight?
9 pounds. 9 pounds.
Okay, that's what's up. So, of course, I think most everyone here knows about me, about let's get healthy together, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I'm at the grocery store, so I might have to put you on mute again. But real fast, 3 weeks ago, I had an abscess in my tooth. So I had an emergency surgery. It just swallowed back. I had a little cold, and I think everything ran down through a cavity that I had. Got too much. We went to the root of my tooth and into my gum. It was an abscess. I went to urgent care. Doctor looked at it and said, "Well, you need to go to surgery now." I'm like, "What do you mean?" We need to do a CAT scan, make sure it's not cancer or anything else.
Wow.
After we did that, boom, they sent me down to the ER. I was to the ER. We waited 2 hours for the doctor to get there. He went in, shot me up in Novocaine. He cut cut the acid, drained everything, and that was on the Saturday. And then on a Wednesday, I went to have surgery to get that tooth removed and a wisdom tooth removed. I don't wish this pain on anyone.
Oh.
And that's that tooth is horrible. But that's what the moral story is. So of course, from that Saturday to about 2 weeks later, I couldn't eat anything, and I didn't want to eat anything because of the pain I was going through. Long story short, I lost 15 pounds.
Whoa.
Because the only thing I was eating was bananas and yogurt. That's it. I was eating organic bananas and like organic yogurt, and then I was making smoothies with spinach. So I had spinach, organic banana, berries, for the antioxidant, and that's it. And that's all I was doing. So I couldn't use a straw. I couldn't sip anything because they said you can't do that after you had the surgery. So I was using a spoon. So long story short, my body went through something. Past same thing, headaches, everything. I was popping because of the pain from the tooth. I was popping Advil and Tylenol every 3 to 4 hours. I mean, it's like 1,000 milligrams. It was just getting in there. I couldn't sleep at night. For 2 weeks, I had to sleep in my recliner because I couldn't lay down because I couldn't let all the fluid draw back into my teeth. So I was headaches. But my body was also going through the fact that I wasn't eating. This shit I was going to eat. Long story short, I was in Orlando this past week. First time I was eating regular food. I was reclining, but all right. Long story short, stomach was horrible. My body, it was rejecting everything that I was eating.
Ooh.
I mean, rejecting it all. Yeah. So, hold on. Hello, how are you? Good. Hold on a second, man.
He in there buying a bag of kale right now.
That's right.
Filled with bags.
It's filled with bananas and yogurt.
When I got my organic bananas, got my chicken, I got my kale, got my spinach, got my yogurt. Oh, and I got this one thing that is a ultimate immune system: orange, elderberry, and zinc. That's what I got. Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, it's ironic as that you do that thing of eating healthier and body. Everything's bad for you. You realize what's good for you, what's not good for you. I tell you, me getting sick and going through that and not being able to eat when I don't eat changed my whole eating around completely. Like I no longer buy junk food. Like I no longer if I go out, it's salad. That's it. I don't even want their chicken because I don't know how they cook their chicken. I don't know if the chicken is organic or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's why I asked how much weight you lose. Like I said, 15 pounds, 3 weeks, all because I stopped eating junk. So I'm back to working out again. So moral story is take care of your body, guys. Watch what we eat, watch what we drink. Take care of your body because, I tell a lot of people, you know what? We only got one set of teeth, as we get older. We only got to be in one pair of feet, you know what I mean? Because, we need to take care of our feet, we need to take care of our hips, we need to take care of our eyes, we need to take care of everything that we have. And that goes with the personal development. Hey, we got one shot at this, right? Let's take it. Let's just take care of everything. So,
wow.
That's what I'm at, man.
Wow.
As I'm packing up my food. Yeah. Thank
you. Wow. This is my brain is going through so much right now. I'm like, am I ready to take just to shock the body, right? Because it's one thing when you start thinking about, like I was sitting there listening to you talk about this water and lemon. I'm like, you know what? I think I could do that. And then, but when you start, I'm listening to all see, that's the reason why I asked you, what's this about coffee? But the fact was, it was about the cleanse and the purging of all the other stuff. And so you really don't know what you're getting ready to experience. But that's part of the objective of a cleanse is to, one, to learn something new about yourself. Because a lot of times I think when people think about cleanses, they recognize that a lot of stuff is going to purge out, whether coming through your pores or all the other areas that you have. And, and that's getting ready to happen. But then your mind is like, yeah, but then, after that, I go back to just doing my own day to day. And I guess that's a good point. Like what's the purpose of going through a cleanse if you're not going to change the way you actually take in food and drink, So if there isn't some type of lifestyle change, then, you may as well not even done the cleanse, I guess. Right. So that is just,
hey, God, so sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm off the store now. Yeah, so I'm gonna piggyback what you said, and also with you, Mr. Moore. Yeah, life changing what we put in our body now that we older. Hey, listen, guys. Everyone knows I'm gonna be 52 in April. I'm trying to look like I'm 25. You know what I mean?
There you go.
It's all about my eating habits. All about me. I still wake up at 5 in the morning. Those 3 weeks, I still up at 5 in the morning. I didn't go to the gym, but I did stretch.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I wasn't doing everything else because I couldn't. But last week, and Mr. Gary knows, like, hey, you know what? I'm still hitting the gym. I'm going back to the gym. And what was funny, when I went back to the gym, people were like, whoa, hey, who's this guy? Who's this new guy?
Yeah.
Because I hadn't been there in in almost a month. So, yeah, who's this new guy here? What's going on? And I told you one of my stories, like I told you guys. He was like, oh, no way. He's like, yeah, man, you got to be careful of that stuff. And then I told him, I was like, that's going to affect the way that I eat from here going forward. You know what I mean? It's just, we just got to be careful what we put in our body. Going out to dinner, or trying to all these fancy new restaurants, all that's good. And, but like I said, I was down at the Wade Hotel in Lake Nona, and for breakfast, all I eat now is I do an avocado toast.
Okay.
So sometimes I tell them, just give me egg with avocado. That's it. And give me like an antioxidant smoothie. That's all I really want. That's all I really need. And I went down there. It was like $18 for an avocado toast. I'm like, $18 avocado toast? I said, no, thank you. Walked down the street. I found this place called Vegan Out.
Okay.
Vegan Out, completely 100% organic and healthy. I got an avocado toast and a smoothie for $19.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I was talking to the lady. I was like, can you tell me, how you guys come up with your ingredients, your recipes and everything else? And she was like, no, what we did, we spoke with an organic nutritionist, and they told us what we need to do to fit our mode and model. So everywhere I go now, that's what I look for. I look for. Don't get me wrong. I still like my hamburgers. I still like my meat and all. But what I do is I make sure that it's grass fed and no antibodies, no steroids, no nothing. Trying to figure out the healthy side of it. Because your body still needs the protein, but I don't do it as much. I may do once a week. I eat meat, but every day, twice a day, for breakfast and lunch. For breakfast, I'm either doing the smoothie with my vegan protein powder, or I'm doing my avocado toast. So I'm doing one of those two, and yogurt. So that's my breakfast and lunch. And then dinner, I may do a fish, or I may do a meat or chicken. You know what I mean? I do that. But bags of chips, donuts, sodas, all that stuff.
Over.
Off my list. That's no more. Nope. Because I tell you, the pain that I got from that abscess, and then I asked him, I was like, how did this happen? What is this? He's like, oh, bacteria got in there. I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know, it could be some food or something.
Huh.
And I thought about it because I went to the Reading Terminal in Philadelphia that Thursday.
Yeah.
And what did I get? I got some ribs, and I got some chicken, some other stuff.
Roast pork.
I got all that from this place that, it didn't look all that healthy. You know what I mean? But it smelled good. You know what I mean? It smelled on point. But didn't look all that because, it's at the Reading Terminal of Philadelphia. We know how grimy some of the can be.
Yeah.
But, it just didn't look all that good. But it smelled good. And the line was long as all get out. For both those places. So I'm like, gotta be good, And the sad thing about it, just because it was all brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
That was in this line.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, oh shit, this gotta be the spot because we got some old heads waiting on line for, everybody's getting, half a slab, full slab, and mac and cheese and this and that. And I went to the wing spot and then I had some, some my Asian people, cooking up the barbecue chicken and
gotta love it.
Smooth stuff. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm in right here. I'm in. Man, I tell you, I think that's because I had that on a Thursday, and then that Saturday, Sunday, I start feeling the pain. And here it is. I got 2 teeth going out of my mouth now. I got my back tooth and a wisdom tooth pulled out because of that abscess. Yeah, and now it's a month, and I'm still feeling it.
Wow.
Yep. So y'all know my motto. Let's get healthy together, right? So, hey, I lead it on the other call. I'm a leader on the Mastermind call now. Let's get out together. Let's watch what we put in our body. Let's get out, do some exercises.
Yeah.
I'm 52. I'm trying to look 25. Hey, that's my next level goal, personal development. To get everyone, family and friends. You know what? You guys are no longer my friends. You guys are my family. So I want to make sure that I see my family get to that. And Dees knows what I'm about to say. I want to live out my full term. What is it? My full term insurance? Is it full term? Which one is it? Is it what's the one where your insurance goes to like 127 years?
Oh.
Which insurance is it?
Whole life.
It's some sort of life. Whole life. There you go.
Yeah, your whole life. Gotcha.
Insurance.
Yeah, your whole life.
I want all of us to benefit from a whole life insurance. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? I want all of us to max out the whole life insurance.
Oh,
I want to see all my family.
I'm with it.
All of my family max out the whole life insurance.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Sorry, I went on.
No, that's good.
About my personal thing there, but as soon as Ted started talking about, what he did with the water, I'm like, all right, this call can be a health. Let's get healthy call. I feel it. I feel the health is coming on.
That's
Taz Moore's teeing up for us. That's right.
He teed it off.
She gonna get there a little bit. I feel it.
Teed it up.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Since we talking about getting healthy, I might as well go ahead on and say what I need to say.
Go ahead on.
But listen,
All right.
y'all can't sleep on a dentist, and y'all cannot sleep on unaddressed dental issues because
Yep.
your body is gonna fight, your immune system is gonna fight it as long as it can, and as soon as your immune system changes, stress or like in your case, Dwayne, you ate something crazy and it threw things off, the balance off. But little small cavities, tiny little cavities, grow up to be monsters. So if you don't address that when it's small, you gotta keep coming in every 6 months, getting those cleanings. If they tell you to go more than 6 months, go more than 6 months. But those X-rays every year are super important because it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. It's the little things that grow up to be big things when it's not addressed. Same thing with any little pain in the body. You gotta address that because it's your body trying to get your attention. So pay attention. I tell people all the time, people are like, I don't want to get anything done because it doesn't hurt. I said, well, cancer doesn't hurt either until it's really bad. So handle it. Stay on top of it. Don't be afraid to face that stuff because the battle, like Steve Jobs, man, it was completely curable.
Yeah.
Completely.
Wow.
You can't ignore it. It's not going to go away. You have to stay on top of it. And so I've become a comprehensive dentist over the years because everything is connected.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. Things will show up in the mouth that's happening in the heart or that's happening in the kidneys or the liver. Sorry, y'all, I'm a little bit winded because I'm running through an airport. But
Okay.
And I don't have coffee in my system. So I'm tired. Different. But I'm gonna push through this little detox phase. But seriously, I can't tell you how many people have recognized something's not right in the endocrine system, and that's why you're getting all these cavities. People that take care of their teeth immaculately can't stop getting cavities or foul odors or just different things. Your breath can tell you a lot about what's going on the inside. So you have to stay connected. You have to stay plugged in. Get those physicals. Get those dental exams. All of that stuff. Because sometimes the dentist is the first person to recognize something's wrong.
Yep.
You gotta stay checked out. And even mental health, like depression starts off so small, but then the next thing you know, you got somebody standing on a cliff, getting ready to jump.
Wow.
So you gotta address everything. All right, I need to catch my breath. Go back to the music.
You know that's.
And can I jump in on this?
Oh, get on, please do.
Okay, so what I'm actually in this yoga course right now, and I wasn't going to wait until I was no longer in my boots to take it, because of course it started a week after I fractured my fibula. But after talking with the yoga instructor, what I realized is a part of this course, we do 3 other things that are in addition to the physical poses. And one of them is emotional alchemy, the other is meditation, and the other piece is anatomy and physiology. Anatomy. So with that being said, I was getting so much from the other 3 things that I was like, I can push through, figure out modifications, and still do and stay on sort of on track. But one of the things, the emotional alchemy has been super powerful because it reminded me of a book that I needed to read again.
Oh yeah.
Called The Body Keeps Score. And then we talk about weekly about where your traumas live in your body and how everything is interconnected. And then learning like how Chinese medicine addresses the whole body, and then the energy, how energy moves or doesn't move, and because of those blockages in energy, that's where disease starts, and how trauma and stress, and then the bad eating and the dehydration and caffeine, all those things are then just assaulting every single system in our body as we're moving and grooving. But our body is not okay because of these energy blockages and us not dealing with the real problems, right? And so all those things are just stuck inside, and it turns into disease. And so recognizing how disease starts and where it physically lives in your body. So all this undealt with stuff that your childhood stuff, and your body can't process those emotions, and those undealt with emotions are physically living in your body and just turn into problems as we age because we haven't been able to process those emotions. And so that class is like, I feel like it saved my life in this moment because I've been home for the last month and a half with my mom. I'm in here with this boot. I got 3 contracts that then popped out of nowhere. I'm working my butt off, but I'm like dealing with the stress of just like, right, just all the things are happening, right? 2023 came in all types of ignorant. But with it, I've been able to like manage and deal with and learn how to start processing these big emotions in those small things that has been like inside of me since I was 6, 7, 8 years old, maybe even earlier. So being able to get down to those root things has been like literally life changing. And been able to push me in the midst of like the storm, because it's been a storm, but it's been manageable because I've been dealing with things that literally have been those things that needed to be dealt with, like for this next season. And so I recognize that for me, just bringing it back right now, this season is like the through season, and I had to go back and go forward. So it's like I'm dealing with the straight Sankofa moment. Like certain things had to be dealt with right now, so that I can continue to be propelled where God has me. And it's been amazing. It's been hard as hell, but it's amazing. But those old things, they have to be dealt with. So cleanses allow it. And the beautiful part about cleanses, this story brought me life. You don't know what you're going to do when you're cleansing. Yeah. And a part of every cleanse, I want to push everyone to encourage you all, when you're going through cleansing, when you're going through meditation practices, ask your body for permission to remember, because your body is trying to preserve you, and it may not think that you're able to handle what it needs to reveal to you for you to go to that next level. But all your answers are literally inside of you, and you're just trying to get back to your root of God in love in your beginning. But you have to ask your body to allow you to remember the stuff that it's trying to protect you from, so that you can move forward. So the cleanses, your surgery, when you got sick, you were down bottom, but your body was open so that you can remember, wait a minute, I got to reset. I can't keep feeding my body this BS. I can't keep doing this way because it's not working. And so that was a hard reset that you weren't ready for. But your body said, it's time, because if we don't do this now, it's going to get worse later. So we're just keep pushing, y'all, but really ask your body for forgiveness and let your body know you're ready to start processing those old emotions, so that those emotions don't turn into disease, and that you're able to change what you're doing to move you forward.
Thank you. Woo! I needed that. So Exactly. Yeah, thank you. What I say about this, and go get your top checked, because I've got to tell you this. The reason that I really went to the urgent care, because there's a piece, and I don't know the technical name for it, underneath the tongue, that had swelled up so bad, it looked like it had two tongues, and I could not breathe through my mouth. I had to breathe in and out through my nose. I took a nap, I woke up, I went to the bathroom, I was gasping for air, and there's something, if you lift up your tongue, and there's a little part that goes down to some part on the bottom of your mouth, that part had swelled up so bad, it looked like it had two tongues, and I could not breathe through my mouth. I was in and out through my nose, and I ran to the urgent care, I ran to the urgent care. I just took off. I was running lights the whole 9 yards, did not care. And, exactly. Yeah, I wasn't ready for it, but you know what? My body said, reset, here you go, ding, start right there, let's go. So I sat back and thought, like, what if I was sleeping through the night and that thing continued to swell and I didn't wake up because I wasn't getting oxygen, I couldn't breathe. Talking about a reset, talking about a mental reset, man, let me tell you, I was, like I said, I slept in my recliner for 2.5, almost 3 weeks with one eye open, make sure that I was still breathing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Life is short. Take care of the body. It's our temple. And one thing I heard through this whole trauma thing is that your body keeps the score. Body keeps score of all the trauma and everything else. So if your shoulders hurt, your hands hurt, anything else. So that's something that we're going through. That's something we're going through that, hey, we got to fix. So thank you for the words of advice and encouragement. I appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hey, this is Lon.
There we go.
And yes, it has gone full circle because I forget my man who started it off with the cleanse and all.
No pass.
And everyone talked your Taz, and then with the dentist and a young lady talking about mental health. Because for the last several years, I've been doing counseling, and it's about addiction. And everyone touched on, the similarities. And I'm not going to go into detail, but I would like for everyone to possibly just read up on your hippocampus and your amygdala. Those are the two main things that causes the addiction, the memory, the trauma, because the hippocampus, that's like emotion, that stores your emotions, your long-term memory, as well as your thought process. And, it's like your behaviors, and the amygdala and the hippocampus kind of work together. And that's what causes the addictions in your brain. When you do, it's called the reward pathway. So when you do something you enjoy, gambling, sex, pornography, eating, coffee, your amygdala is the stimuli, and it gets caught up in your survival, and you think you need this to survive. And then it's also rewarding, so it's kind of like you want to do it again and do it again. And it gets hung up in your memory and all of that, the traumatic experiences. So all of that is tied together, because those two things are like in your, what they call like your hindbrain, which is your survival. It gets caught up in that like fight or flight. You'll do one or the other. So it's hard to just do away with it and stop. So your brain is telling you, it felt good, I need this for survival, we need to do it again, and we need to do it again. And then, it gets locked into your memory, and that's your hippocampus, that is directly related with your long-term memory. So you can go years without doing it, but as soon as you drink that cup of coffee, you're off to the races again.
Wow.
And those are two of the key components into everything you talked about, your mental health, when she talked about the yoga and, all of those things. Everything you guys said, even with what the dentist said, all of that is tied into those two core functions in your brain. And the difference between getting older and being young, the prefrontal cortex is developed later in life. That's the executive thinking part a lot of these young kids don't have. So when they get into these risky behaviors, they don't have the components to really make rational decisions. Where when we get older, we think about the stuff we've done. And, it's like all those neurological emotions and all of that. And I think someone talked about the chemical processes. I think with the dentist, yes, how your heart impacts, everything impacts one another. Your brain regulates a whole lot of stuff, and it goes to your health, your mental health, your stress level. All of that is caused by those two key components that also interact and send signals to the other parts of your brain, the left side, the right side, the emotional part, but if you guys start to look up that hippocampus and that amygdala, those two work together and play a major role in everything you guys just discussed. Thank you.
Hey, D. Brother, we got a good one today. That man, Lawrence, oh my goodness. Lawrence, I'm so happy right now. This is all the kind of stuff.
This is you, brother.
I love it. I love a brother that will, in conversation, bring up the amygdala
and the hippocampus, the prefrontal
man,
cortex. I'm like,
I had to mute it. Because I was like, oh yeah,
like what?
Santa hit me with one thing that was that
emotional alchemy. I wrote it, brother. I wrote it, yo.
That is a serious term. Emotional alchemy.
Yo, we gotta stop for a second right now. Like I've been sitting here trying to get my arms around that for a minute. Like if you were to see my notes right now, I'm looking at these notes like, what are we talking about right now? Like, this is emotional alchemy. Yo, we have to like slow down for a second, because y'all were really like moving fast. And I'm like, wait a second, what are we talking about? Because then she also hit something that talked about the body keeps score. And I was like, wait, is that associated with emotional alchemy? Well, what are we like? Ty, you got to come back and talk about this for me. You can't run through that. You got.
And the writer is, I think he's Dutch or Danish. Same thing. How about that? He's Dutch, and he comes along in the field of psychiatry, during like all this, everything's happening. I mean, so much things have happened in a very short amount of time. But he really talks about what he started noticing as he's going through, and as it relates to trauma and how pharmacology, science, all that stuff happened. And then he's like, wait a minute, these companies, I came into the field to help people, but when pharmacies started coming into, they started creating drugs for depression and all these other things, therapy changed. So he's keeping track of what that looked like and start recognizing how trauma, the patterns of trauma, and how, yes, you can use some drugs, but then there's some other things going on. Mm-hmm. But it's really deep. But as far as the emotional alchemy piece, it really talks through, we go to trauma. He talks about how you can smell it, taste it, all these things, right? Okay. And so the emotional alchemy is really a natural process to really getting down to the root causes of trauma, experiencing, really working toward getting those out and dealing with them. Because if you don't deal with trauma, trauma deals with you, right? And so it really talks about the connection between trauma and disease, stress and disease, emotion and disease, and really understanding how it manifests in your body and how it impacts every aspect of your life, relationships, decisions, and how fear and just what happened at 7 and 6, it tells you what happens to you at 7B, period. And we don't recognize the connection to how your emotions and all those things just translate to your everyday living. And so getting down to the absolute root, to what that means and how it manifests, it matters. So I would definitely add The Body Keeps Score to the list of books to check out. And also, shameless plug again, I got to get some hours for practice. So if anybody's interested in some yoga stuff or meditation, I'll let your girl, because I gotta have recordings and practicing being an instructor, because it's a part of the thing.
Oh, yo, sign us up. Yo, listen.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here's real. Here's the real. Here's the real. All right, like that. Yeah, we need to talk about this. I think this is a nice kind of segue, because what was just, I mean, what is it? It's 8:07, and we've spent roughly the hour talking about health and wellness, from physical, mental, the whole nine. And I think that's part. There's just way too much intellectual capital on this call and this network, that we have to package, organize it, and create more mediums like this that are specific, to health and wellness, that we can begin to bring to the larger public. We got to. I mean, it's just way too much. Like I'm sitting here, I'm looking at my notes. My mind is blown by the stuff that I'm writing down here right now. And I'll tell you this, I part of what I wanted to talk to you guys about was the fact that I've had some kind of revelations over the past couple of weeks, that I'm leaving stuff on the table, in terms of my personal goals and my abilities and my willingness, and to the fact that I have more to give. And so why only give so much? And this is an example of it, because if I'm being 100% honest, everything that you guys have unpacked and talked through the past hour, I know that each of you can actually do what you just did, right? And the fact that I've known that, but haven't organized something that would allow this kind of conversation to happen on a more frequent basis, means that I haven't done enough work. Like that's a great example of, when I say I have more to give, that means you have to use what the resources of people, and make that part of the offering, if you will. When we talk about expanding the Dream Makers and making it more of a membership model, and identifying what the benefits and the programming and the content and how to digitize content and all the things, like, it's just, there's so much value on this call right now. It's beyond it's beyond what we're what I can even articulate. And so this, and one thing, after listening to everybody talk about the cleanse and the health and wellness aspect, I had kind of a vision of me working hard, doing the things that I care about, doing the things that I believe I'm here to do in this life, and then my body saying, I can't do no more, because you haven't, you've spent a lot of time on your mind, but you haven't spent a lot of time on me. You spend a lot of time, focusing on how to create all these things and being an advisor and all that, but you haven't done anything to invest in me, meaning the body. And this is just a harsh reality. And what was the going back to that emotional alchemy factor, where the whole natural process and the trauma versus disease, or more, not even versus, but trauma and disease, and the connection between the two. And this is real stuff, yo. Like, this is real stuff. And especially when you start connecting with people who you start asking, like, going back to that same example, I didn't tell the whole story, but that client I was talking about, who basically was doing $25 million a year with like 9 employees, was emotionally just adolescent, was just completely, like, didn't really see much past that job, making great money, but was emotionally on an island. And we learned that ultimately it was just having a bad upbringing and things that happened early in life. That's it. And he just decided, I'm not going to care about any of that stuff. I'm just going to focus on getting rich. And he did that. He created wealth. He had no family, and just had wealth. And it was an example of, like, it made me restructure the way I thought about what wealth really means. He had a cash flow well beyond his needs, but he didn't care enough about other things other than that. kept running into crazy tax issues because, you know, he just didn't, he didn't have anything else to really give outside of that. And this is an example, and it went all the way back to his early childhood. You know, whereas, you know, when we go through life without really tackling that stuff and at least dealing with it in a manageable way, yeah, you before you know it, you're 75 and you're like, crap, like I'm still dealing with this stuff. And so this is we have to, I think we need to have like a special like executive staff call or something just to talk through how do we put something together that can really be of service to everyone who's listened to this call, but then we be intentional about this health and wellness game because there's so much energy on this topic right now. It's beyond even my thought capacity right now. It's just, you guys are killing this. I mean, I went in Dana's office the other day, her new office, and I was almost in tears, yo. Just, you know, we got to do it. We got to do this. This is amazing. You know, if she was telling a story about how, like, why she started that practice, and when we had our 90-day challenge, you know, that was roughly almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years this summer when we had that 90-day challenge. And my brain just went back to where she was at that time of her life and in business. And to be in this office, she was giving me a full tour. I was just like, this is amazing what can happen when you really commit yourself. But again, the content and the intellectual information that you guys have, we need to be able to broadcast that. So I you know, this was this was definitely worth it. This call is, I mean, I had a different thing that I want to talk to you guys about, but I think this is actually what we need to be talking about because, I mean, I just in listening through this, there's so much more that we need to unpack, and we need to have more calls on this. So don't be surprised if I hit you after this. I'm like, yo, let's talk, let's put together a series, and we can do it separate from this, and we should do it at this particular time because it's in this situation. You know, we have mastermind calls to do exactly what just happened. You know, to everybody's coming together on a singular objective, and now we're all really thinking about health and wellness in a way that we probably weren't thinking about it before, and that's the purpose of the mastermind. But there are other mediums that we have to create that are much more informational, and that which allows the folks who are part of this network to share their expertise, to educate the public, to really, and do it in a way where you can get in front, because we do these calls real early because it's really a leadership call. But when you start changing the type of the time that when you host different events, or the way you get in front of the masses, those are educational moments, and we need to have educational moments actively a part of it. You know, so was that me? I think it is. Yeah. So we need to have these built-in educational moments to our whole offering. So I think be on the lookout, because it's time to start organizing folks around what we have to give, whether it be health and wellness, whether it be business development, whether it be financial management, you know, all of these topics where we have people who are experts. It's time for us to leverage our experts. And I'm just I'm full and overwhelmed this morning. and listen, I started this call. I was like, oh, I should have got my coffee. I can't wait to, after the call, go down and get some coffee. I'm not going to get the coffee. I'm not going to get the coffee.
Put that coffee down, brother.
I'm not.
And hey, listen, just real fast. You know, I'm just going to jump in real fast. It's fun because I wasn't going to say anything on this call because I went to the grocery store. Because the reason why we started this call is because I have my kids, right? So I get up early and get those sleep and all that stuff, right? So anyway, so I was like, you know what? I'm just here listening. I got to focus on the kids, yada yada. But when Paz teed it up and talked about his coffee and his drinking his water, and he started talking about all the health stuff and how the addiction with caffeine and sugar, I was like, no. This didn't meant to happen today.
This is just meant
to happen when I was in the grocery store shopping for my organic food, and meant to happen for everyone to come together
as you said, to voice their expertise, their knowledge on the mental health, the body keeping score. Me with my, surgery, Paz with his, coffee, sugar, and Dr. Jones with the food, and doing the yoga and everything else. And I was thinking, I was like you just said, you're right. I think it's time, because we've been doing this for over a decade, that we need to expand our expertise and what we have known and grown and learned over a decade to provide an ultimate spectacular service for our people.
Yeah.
For our community.
Yeah.
So thank you, Baz. Thanks, Baz, for kicking it off.
Kicking it off. Kicking it off. I mean,
we're out here. I'm still just sitting here. I'm processing everything. I can hear it in Deacon's voice.
Yeah.
I know we got him. There's two ways to get deep. One is if we have a great call, just giving y'all insight right now, right? Two ways to get them. One is if we have a great call and then somebody gets very emotional about something, and tears start, people start crying. And we've had that happen before where whatever it is, whatever the situation is, and people start crying, because he'll get involved with them because he's very empathetic, and, he'll start to, feel what they're doing and kind of make sure, kind of help them along as he goes, right? And the other way is to have him going into the call strong with one thing.
Yeah.
And then make a hard right. and when we make that right turn, it's so much gold in that right turn, he has to now think like, well, God, man, we got to do something with this. And that's where we are right now. He's like, this is unacceptable not to it. I like how you framed it, that it's doing a disservice to, yourself and people who want to serve, who have all this information or at least access to it.
Yeah.
And not putting it out to, the people that may not be here, because everything done is not like, a secret leadership, kind of, we're coming up in this little silo.
Yeah.
We go out, and be superheroes. Some of it is, but then some of it is like, hey man, this is something that needs that all people need to hear. So I'm with you on that.
That's the point, right? We, for lack of a better way to explain it, we've had over the past decade, we've had our own little, it's like our own secret thing that we do it early in the mornings because we know it's so good and don't nobody else want to, no one else is willing to tap in like that. And we've watched everyone who's been a part of this network over the past decade watch all of our lives just in so many forms just flourish from a mindset perspective, from a family perspective. Like we've watched it. And I'm just being 1,000% honest with you right now. God told me you can't keep this to yourself anymore. You can't. This just can't be about you and your friends. It's like, yeah, you and your friends did it. Good, congratulations. It's time to go. It's time to give. It's time to give what you know. And it's like, I think probably the best way to say it is like, is my man Peter Parker, Uncle Ben. With great knowledge, with great power comes great responsibility. And here it is, Paz. I know you know this phrase. To know and not to do is not to know. To know and not to do is not to know. And if we know this stuff, if we have access to this information, and we're not, one, living it, two, not sharing it, then what's the purpose of acting like you know something? What's the purpose of having that intellectual information that's just flirting around in your mind, But there's just a host of people who need this. And I think it's so the long story short for me is that this year I'm just overly committed to creating the right type of resources for us to mass market what we know and showcase our talent, showcase the what we've just heard. It's time But do it in a way that is in line with each of your individual goals and objectives, and also make sure that the target, the market, if you will, the people that we want to reach, that we're doing it in a way that is really has the greatest potential of impact, to be able to reach folks where they are. Because there's one thing, like I'll tell you the truth. I mean, I love being in a situation when you see someone and they find you. That's kind of where we've been over the past 10 years. Over the past 10 years, we've been in a situation where we've created these events or calls or programs where the people, like it was like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, or and that kind of thing. So you have these people who are ready to kind of come out of whatever they were in, and they will find you. So we've seen that over the past 10 years. But I'll tell you, we're at a point now where we have to instead of looking for those who are really ready to break out, we have to take what we have to the masses. And the reason why I personally have tried to stay clear of that market for the past 10 years is because sometimes of the frustrations, if you will. Like when you're looking for impact, you're saying, okay, well, if we're going to go to the masses, then we want to help everybody, right? And my mindset and just being able to kind of being exposed to other leaders who have done similar things, it's actually not about, you can't get too worked up in that. Like you're bringing what you have to the market, and whoever takes and benefits, they take and benefit. So that's not the objective. Shouldn't be, I'm going to do everything and I'm going to be emotionally tied to 100% of the 1,000 people we just provided this information to. They need to all get it. And the objective is, we've sowed the seed. We have to be active sowers of information. And when it flourishes, when that seed becomes a flower, we may not know. For some people, it'll become a flower sooner. Some people, they'll take that information and run and go to work. Others, it'll be something that they'll ponder on for a while and think about it. Maybe come back to another event and see if this is something that's worth it. For others, it could be years. And it could just be something, I went to something one day and I heard some information, and maybe they share it with someone else, but that's the way I kind of have to look at it for my own peace of mind. Because there's definitely a time where I was like, if you're not focused on and wanting to do this, then I don't have time for you, right? And that's just, that's kind of a small-minded approach. And I can tell you on a personal level, God is saying you have to expand. You can't just, you can't just be so. There's much more work to do. So you can't have you can't have that mindset when you have big work to do. So which for me personally, it says you have to become bigger. Your mindset has to expand. Your capacity, your willingness has to expand. Like you have to get past what I currently understand as a comfort zone, and it's kind of a 3-layer approach. What we got?
We got somebody getting on there.
Oh, I got it. Oh, that's a good doctor. You're boarding.
Oh, sorry, y'all. Sorry.
I thought she was flying private, man. I didn't know she was commercial before. I thought she was
Worry, that's coming up. That's up.
I know it is.
I know it is. Like right now, we're doing regional, but that has been traced, and that's what we're doing.
That's right.
Mindset.
I love it.
I know it.
It's go time, y'all. I'm saying all this to say it's go time, and comfort zone time. We've done it. We're past that moment. We're past the moment of comfort zone.
Hey, Jesus.
Hey, sorry to cut you off because I know we want to get close to our time soon. But this call has got me so energized, amped up again. I'm going to say, hey, Paz, thanks again for teeing it off. And I know we went to a couple of different topics. I know it's not something we wanted to discuss right away. First, we started with the health part. Now we went into the mental health side of it. So I had called Janine Goodrich. So I conferenced her in, and I'm putting her on the spot. Because normally she likes to do a lot of research when she, talks to a group. But she is, and I'll let her get to details about it. But I wanted to share with the group and Dee, so hopefully maybe we can connect later on once we have that second group set conversation.
Yeah.
But she's currently finishing her TRE, which is Trauma Relief Exercise certification. She's getting her PhD, and is it with the mental health? What is it? You're getting a PhD in right now? I'm sorry.
Hi, everyone. Yes, actually, it's a doctorate in trauma care.
Trauma care. Yeah. So, Jenny, if you can just tell us just a little bit background about yourself, about your career in the pharmaceutical business and how you left that, and now you're pursuing your ultimate goal of mental health, trauma relief exercise, and helping everyone else in the world, be better mentally, physically, and spiritually. If you give us a little quick background on that, I think I think she will be a great asset to the team.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Dwayne definitely put me on the spot.
That's what he does, the master.
That's what I do.
Yeah, like I don't even know.
Exactly.
You're supposed to know your audience. But anyway, that's all good. So good morning and blessings to all. So yeah, just the gist of where I am in my life is trauma is definitely on the forefront of where we're moving in terms of mental health. And my background is, I have a bachelor's and a master's in clinical psychology. I, by default, fell into the corporate world, pharmaceuticals and biologics, and never felt aligned to it, but worked in it and made a decent living, and always had my fingers, I guess, in the pot of what was going on in the world of mental health. And started my own journey and looking into trauma based on my own personal reasons about 13 years ago, really digging in. And that's when I started to really realize that trauma was far more than just your thought or cognition. And the long story short is that I became acutely aware of that when we really are body, mind, and spirit, that we really are body, mind, and spirit, and the importance of understanding how the body can be actually an entry point or an access point to heal those things that we have in really difficult times. And the truth is, we all have some type of trauma, and it's just understanding the biology and the physiology and how it all works, and that's the whole thing. It's like when you don't know, you don't understand why you're responding to something. So there's transgenerational trauma. There's trauma that gets passed down from ancestors, from things that your ancestors have experienced, and all these things get caught into our biology that historically nobody's recognized. So that's really where I am. I work. My ultimate goal is to be able to do retreats and programs to help people step into that world, because it is pretty, in the acute trauma care world, can be pretty complex and pretty deep and intensive work. But there's things that we all can do to just help ourselves begin to heal that way. So I don't know if that's kind of that in a nutshell. So that's where I am. And there's a lot of information. I think Dwayne got excited because The Body Keeps Score book. That's a great book. That's what rather. And lots of cool things going on in that world.
Wow.
So, even just learning like basic, and we've all heard this, but I can't say enough about the power of breath and what that can do to the nervous system. Because we were given, God made no mistakes when He made us.
Yeah.
But as we all know, there's all kinds of things that can really twist that around. So we have this beautiful nervous system that is, the autonomic nervous system, which is part that helps our heart, everything go, that we're not even thinking about. We're breathing, our heart rate, all these things that are happening miraculously as we don't have to consciously worry about it. But under a stressful situation or an alert situation, we have this part that says, sympathetic nervous system goes into effect. Okay, run, there's a tree falling on you, or move out of the way. And then we have another side of us, the parasympathetic nervous system, that says, okay, everything's good, slow down, recoup, rest like anybody who's ever almost hit somebody in a car accident or something like that, adrenaline surge. And then when you're coming back, you can feel it all coming down. That's the parasympathetic nervous system putting stuff back, re-regulating you. Well, that was meant to stop, to be short-term, not long-term. Very short-term. So this is a great little book that I just had to read for actually one of my classes. It's called Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And the whole concept is we as humans don't have, because of our prefrontal cortex, the brain, the thinking part, we don't know how to, it could not be, like our thoughts will actually get in the way and they cause us distress. So essentially we don't separate between the stress of like a real physical attack versus oh my God, I got this work to do, or I've got all this, I got this, whether it's, this big project for work to do, or, and it releases the same amount of stress hormones and everything on your body. So we're all walking around this incredible amount of stress, and yet the reality is it's driven by our brain. So we can there are tools that we can use. Obviously, you hear about mindfulness and you hear about meditation and all other things, but for me, like the simplest, most effective technique that anybody can do immediately is breathe, because none of us breathe correctly. We're all shallow, and it can basically go back to that autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is connected to all our major organs through the vagus nerve, and we're like soothing it. It embalms it with the breath, and it just calms everything down. And there's so much physiology behind it, but that's not really an overview. But the reality is there's something we all can do to help, and it can bring tremendous benefits to all of us. So indeed, we do all carry stuff. We have things embedded in us that we do not know. Our body is like the unconscious, essentially. So some is a very interesting world, and I think it's going to be on. It's continued to grow in terms of the specialty and the focus, because I really believe, I think we all have some level of trauma.
Oh yeah, wow. This is
Janine, I got a question for Janine, and also Tassana. And this is just, I'm always thinking. So first of all, before I go into that, again, this is a great call. So far, we've been amygdala, hippocampus, vagus nerve, prefrontal cortex. All these are terms that I love that is happening on a Saturday morning. I'm excited about it.
Who was talking about the amygdala and the hippocampus?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you miss Lawrence.
You miss Lawrence. Yeah.
Lawrence is a trauma, not a trauma, but an addiction counselor. Yeah, an addiction counselor. So, and before we get into that, and Lawrence, for a second, I got a question, but just a quick one, because Janine meant something, and I think I always hear it, but I wanted to see if you could give a couple tips, and Tassana as well, because I know you're in it right now. The breathing piece, examples of the proper way to breathe, or some good quick breathing techniques that you recommend. I know I'm aware. Me personally, I try to be aware of the breath. So if I know something's going crazy, I just try to take a deep breath. And just be focused on it. But just to hear it, articulated again from you guys, and people who are like really studying it heavy, I think it will be helpful and a good takeaway.
Well, I just sent Dana the directions for box breathing.
There you go. Okay.
Box breathing, it's a simple inhale. You can start off with 4 count. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4 at the bottom of the breath. As you're doing your inhales and exhales, you're just making sure that you're getting all the way down into your stomach. You can feel it. There's also ujjayi breath. There's all types of breath work. But box breathing is one I think is an easy start, that you can basically imagine yourself drawing a box with your breath.
All right, say it again slower. We said 4 in.
So imagine breathing. Let's do it together, y'all. Let's do it together. Let's do it.
Let's do it together.
Okay. I want everybody.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Demonstration.
Some practice. Janine, I'm working on my certification for yoga, so it's hilarious. But amongst other places, other things I do. So okay, can I throw some of it in real quick before we start breathing? Go ahead. Would love it if everybody can breathe in through their nose, because the maxillary sinuses is what purifies the air. You don't want the dirty bacteria from the mouth filling your lungs. That's how you get upper respiratory issues. So it's very important to breathe in through your nose. All right, that's my stuff.
Yeah, right. See, we getting it all right now. That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. So we're gonna breathe in for 4, count you off for 4. I'm gonna count. I'm not breathing with you all. We're gonna inhale for 4 through your nose. You're gonna hold at the top, and then you're gonna exhale for 4 and hold at the bottom for 4 count, and then we're gonna start again. But imagine as you're drawing a box. So you're gonna start at the bottom left. You're gonna go up for your inhale. You're gonna hold and go right from left to right for your hold. You're gonna go down for your exhale for 4 counts, and then you'll go from right to left for the final hold, and then you can do it again. Okay? So we'll do 2 rounds of it. So everybody's gonna inhale for 4. I'm counting. 1, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Okay? So that's essentially, you drew a box. You should draw 2 boxes at that point.
Yeah. I did it.
You can extend it for a 5 count, a 6 count, however long you want to be able to take it up. You can take it up to 10 if you wanted to, but that's how they train divers to hold their breath and that kind of stuff. So just extending your breath and getting that inhale, that full inhale and a full exhale.
Yep. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So if Lawrence and Janine, I really want to connect on this call as well. Lawrence, can you just reiterate what you spoke about before so Janine can be caught up?
Yes, I'm an addictions counselor, and I know as far as the important role that the amygdala and the hippocampus play in that role. So I just gave everyone just like a brief overview, but because you're in the mental health overall, you could probably go a little further with the traumatic experience and how all of that plays a role in, the fight and flight, survival part of our brain, the hindbrain, and all of that. So if you could just elaborate on that.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to hijack your call, guys. So
it's hijacked. It's done. Go for it.
Of course, future call on all that, because there's so much to this. But
yeah.
Well, that's great, Lawrence. So one of the things that I have learned through trauma, and again, this is not my own revelation. Well, there's my own personal experience where I've been able to assimilate this information and go, okay, now I understand, this makes total sense. But being in the addiction world, I'm assuming that there is this premise that when you see the addiction, there's trauma underneath it. In other words, I have this saying, you show me an addiction, I'll show you trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's the addiction is symptomatology that's covering up the trauma, because obviously there's a lot more to it than that. So when you were referencing the amygdala and the hippocampus, we have the triune brain, 3 parts of our brain. And again, it depends, who you're talking, who's speaking or whatever, but the bottom line is there's 3 parts. We have the old brain, we have the middle brain, and we have the higher brain. Old brain's the limbic system, right? And, we can refer to the brain stem, or some people call it the reptilian brain. And then, then we have the mammalian brain, and then like the human brain, and which is, again, the rational thinking. Long and the short of it is what happens with that amygdala is there's a whole series. I mean, I don't even think we know as much of what's really going on. But again, we're talking about, hey, God designed us perfectly. Like there's an emergent thing happening. It is milliseconds, if even that things start to work. And so there's chemical releases, and it starts with the amygdala. The amygdala is this amazing alarm system. So it's like, whoa, wait a minute, danger, danger. And it's there so that once you have that alarm system, it's always warning you because it's there to protect you. What they found, which is I think is amazing to me, and just there is so much research on this, that trauma affects the brain, not just the chemistry of the brain, but actually the anatomical function or structure. So they have shown over and over and over again, anyone with who has been through any kind of like extreme stress, whether it's PTSD, and I mean, they have looked at just a lot of populations of people who have endured chronic stress. And what they're finding is the hippocampus, because the hippocampus regulates all this, is actually smaller in those people who have endured a lot of stress. So the takeaway is that we have this notion that we're like, okay, just get over your stress, get over this horrible thing that happened to you. Well, yeah, I mean, there is a power in cognitive thoughts and restructuring how we look at things, but there is also a physiological change and a structural change that happens. So there has to be an awareness of, okay, what is happening, so we can bring tools forward to override those things. So, and obviously from the addiction standpoint, I'm sure Lawrence can, obviously being the addiction specialist, what happens is there is an overwhelm. There's an overwhelm when you're with the trauma, and it's a sensory feeling. You can't put it, and the overwhelm can go from 0 to 1,000 in a second. And so the body says, and it might not be a real threat that's going on, but because of the trauma past, the body goes into extreme trauma. I call it the trauma brain or the trauma response. And so now that overwhelm is so incredible because, and it basically overrides the system. And so now we want that feeling to go away. So we will do anything. And usually it comes out as maladaptive behavior, or in the case of like addiction, that you have to find a way to get rid of that feeling because it's so overwhelming. So from the mental health standpoint or the healing side, what we're trying to do is help people learn how to regulate that overwhelm so they can integrate it, override it, so they don't have to do that maladaptive behavior that they've done to suit them. And but it's on the what we call the subcortical processing level. It's not at our thinking level, so it's not happening where we can go, oh gee, I need to just stop that.
Yeah.
It's happening in the old brain, the old brain, the limbic brain. So we have to sense, how do we get into it? Well, that's why we say we go into the sensory, or we go in through the body as an access point to get to it. And as we just led to that great little breathing technique, that's just one example. And like I said, there's so many branches to this, but when the physiology and is kind of laid out and you kind of see how it works, like, wow, like that's so powerful. Like the more I learn, the more amazed I am at how perfectly made we are in terms of how we have these abilities to self-heal if given the resources. So yeah, it's really incredible. So I don't know if that really answered your question, because like I said, I didn't want to hijack the call, but the amygdala and hippocampus indeed are a big part of what has been uncovered the last couple of decades in terms of the power of what it in the trauma world.
Yeah, you did an excellent job. So that's why I wanted to leave it with you. But what I was telling them earlier is when you talked about that brain stem or that hind brain, that's what we consider the fight or flight. That's the old brain. Am I correct?
Yes, Lawrence. So exactly. So.
And then not to cut you off, but when you talked about how we overcome it, that's with the prefrontal cortex, which is our new brain. That's the executive thinking part. Would I be correct?
Right. So what happens in, say, stress and it's just a traumatic event.
occurring, the old brain goes in is online, right? So there's something bad happening. I don't know. I'll just use an example. You know, I don't know, child's in a house and here's like horrible violence going on in the house, right? And the child is, and I'm using a child because it doesn't have to just be a child, because the same thing happens for adults, but from a developmental standpoint and understanding what happens to the brain. And stress is accumulative because trauma tracks trauma. But so what happens with the fight, or freeze system is the brain is sensing danger, because the sensory bits. I mean, you've probably heard that we take in millions and billions of bits of sensory processing, and we're not aware of it. We could possibly process all that in terms of being consciously aware of it, but we're taking in bits of information. So the sensory, that old brain goes, whoa, danger, and it ticks on. And so it's processing everything sensory. It's not processing. And so there's no language in that part of the brain. That's not where we process language. But we feel, we sense, we smell, our sight, all of the parts of our body that are sensory. So then the neocortex, or the prefrontal cortex, or the higher brain, or the human brain, which is in the front of our brain, is literally, I call it offline, like other people call it offline too, goes offline. Because we don't need that. We don't need to critically think, oh, intruders coming through the front door or the back door? Should
Yeah.
I get, it's a split-second decision, or it's just like touching a hot stove. You don't think about, oh, that hurt. You pull your hand back. That's an autonomic sympathetic response. So in those moments, we don't need that part of our brain. Again, it's beautifully designed, but what happens is that part of the brain, and this is where the brain scans come in, where they've actually shown that the activity in the front of the brain is actually, there's less activity, and it's all located back there in the limbic and the mammalian brain when under stress, which I think is fascinating too. So it's not hypothetical or theoretical. It's been shown. So that front brain is offline. So now you're not going to have, you're not going to be processing like language. You're not going to be putting images or memories and thoughts and language together. You're not critically thinking. You're thinking survival. It's the survival brain. So what happens is there is really not much language, but people will talk about experiencing a traumatic event, and especially when they're recalling, they recall fragments because it's not going in, because it's gone. It's the brain that actually processes that information, or not processes, but attaches language to it, is offline. So it's all sensory. So now imagine somebody having these responses to something, and they don't understand why and we know this from the research on veterans coming back, that something triggers them, and they're like, they don't even know why they're being triggered. Now, sometimes they do, but it's all sensory, and they can't control it because the brain is just taken off with them, and people who don't understand the trauma brain think, well, they just, why can't they just stop doing that? Why can't they know that that's not real? Because it's so embedded into that limbic system. So, yeah, exactly. Old brain versus and so we're learning how can we integrate that? How can we help those brains? But it all starts with calming the nervous system down, because if we're in fight or flight, we can't possibly get the critical brain, the thinking brain back online. So we've got to calm down, which is what breath can help us do, so we can get back in line. And Elaine had mentioned that I do the trauma release exercises. Same thing. It's an innate thing, which is all for another call, but it's an incredible thing that we were born with, that we can actually help calm our nervous system down. And man, when we're in the flow and we're calm and regulated, we can do lots of wonderful things. But if we're living in fear, and that's all that is the fear, and and we can be fearful through physical, but we can be fearful through our thoughts, and that's kind of the blessing and the curse of having a critical brain, is that we can
drive ourselves crazy and be in constant fear. And guess what? We can be in constant fight or flight.
Wow. We're all here.
I believe that was an excellent analogy. And that's why I was saying that if everyone just kind of like went and did some research on it, and then you could kind of understand it, because when you try to explain it from, you know, a level of just, you know, like educating, it's a lot more complex than just being able to explain it over a few minutes. You have to, you know, kind of like just read up on it, and then you'll look and see, and the things that you know, start to, you know, uncover, you'll start to realize, you'll be able to make the connection for yourself. So,
wow.
But thanks, but you gave an excellent description.
Well, folks, this is I can't even begin to tell you how fascinating this whole conversation has been. I can't even, you know.
I'm sorry, you guys, that I snuck on the call. My name is Kobe Smith. I kind of snuck on here without announcing myself.
Yeah.
I run with my partner Kendrick Tillman Digital Base Center. Digital Base Center is a minority-focused technology incubator. We foster the growth and success for minority small business owners by providing sound business literacy, take-to-market strategies, and channels of resources. And I just wanted to talk a little bit today, if I could, before you guys get off, about what we do.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Definitely. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love Kendrick. We love Kendrick Tillman.
Great. So participating in our incubator currently is Kendrick's company, 5 Star Enterprises, with his master music product, as well as my company that I started before we collectively started the incubator. My company is Black Steel Incorporated. It's a cybersecurity training and testing company, and we actually run the only GED testing center in Baltimore City. Our testing center is the Power Plant Live building, in the office space right behind the bars in Power Plant Live.
Got it.
And we also offer co-working space in that area. We also work with established businesses and startups, as well as startups. One of the older businesses that we work with is Brown's Communications, a mom and pop shop. Tim and Kendrick Brown, husband and wife team, run it, and they are the only minority repair center for Motorola, and they do all of the Motorola.
Oh yeah, Brown. Yeah, I know those guys. Okay, that's right.
Okay, Sam. Okay, great. So, and we also work with startups as well. One thing that we look to do when we looked at the Black Tech ecosystem here, and others are working on similar efforts in the spaces, we saw a lack of investment and a lack of funding for the minority-focused technology ecosystem in Baltimore City, and the state of Maryland. So to that end, we introduced a bill and legislation this session. That's House Bill 75 and Senate Bill 125. Collectively, they are the diversity incubator bills.
Yeah.
Diversity incubator bills aim is to send resources to minority-owned and operated incubators for business creation and job creation in our community and economic development. And to the tune of $5 million per year over 6 years, so a total of $30 million is in that bill. And if you all, were so inclined or had time, maybe you want to ask your representative about that bill and voice your support for it.
Who's sponsoring the bill on the House and Senate side, Kobe?
On the Senate side, it's Antonio Hayes. I'm actually a constituent of Antonio Hayes in District 40, so I introduced the bill through him. And on the House side, it is Delegate Jag Lewis from Prince George's County, District 24.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the Black Caucus is already up to speed on the bill. Have you had a chance to present to the Black Caucus?
As a matter of fact, I met with the Legislative Black Caucus, and they were so gracious as to put it on their 2023 legislative priority agenda.
Got it.
So our bills are actually obviously a priority of the Legislative Black Caucus.
We just got 65 for 65th member, so it's time for some real power to be moved in Indianapolis through with 65 members of the Black Caucus. So it should be pushed through. So, but if it's not, there's much more work to do. So, did we meet last night, Kobe?
Oh, I've been getting support, but
Okay.
Byron, we met last night.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Byron,
okay.
some great advice.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, wait a second, this brother sound familiar. Okay,
Byron,
okay.
last night.
Got it.
Yeah, so and Byron actually gave me some great advice because one of our other projects is a food technology incubator. We just closed on a $1 million property in Locust Point that we will be housing the food technology incubator in.
Yeah.
Created with community base, and I mentioned something to you, Byron, about trying to solve the food desert problem.
Yeah.
And you said, you don't necessarily need to be trying to solve everything, but just do your business and enter the market and provide a service and a product that can benefit the market. And I took that to heart. I've been thinking about that all night, actually. So instead of saying, with our food technology incubator, we aim to solve the food desert problem. We want to provide healthy food and options to the community. That's what we would be looking to do instead of just saying, I want to solve it.
Yeah, I mean that's a big goal, and the thing is, unless you're actually creating a grocery store in a food desert like Sandtown and that's a completely separate topic from Black farmers, and Black agriculture, and so we want to make sure that we're successful in each. But what it does do is create the beginning of an ecosystem, because there are groups and organizations who are actively all of their dollars of resource around trying to solve this food desert problem. So but there are not enough of successful Black farmers. So to connect those dots, I think, is where you would be able to fill a nice void, given the fact that your farm would be in Baltimore County, and so it's not far to be able to resource it. But yeah, no, this is. I'm glad you joined though this morning.
Just touch on that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
We're down to 2 minutes though. We're going to be finishing up here in a second. Go for it, brother.
Okay, so just real quick, vertical farming and what you mentioned can produce a tenth of an acre can produce 100,000 pounds of food. So an acre can produce 1 million pounds of food, and we can focus that into our cities and communities and figure out a strategy for that. And that's the aim.
Okay. Vertical farming. Got it.
Lots of good stuff here today.
Systems so that it's not. Yeah.
Kobe, I appreciate you jumping on, man. I'm glad you did. I hope that's not the last time we hear from you. I think definitely, reaching out to the Black Caucus at this stage, at number one, it's important for them to have these economic sensitive bills to push to add to their agenda. I'm a member of the President's Roundtable, so I think you should definitely come and do a presentation for our legislative committee to help support that.
I would love to. I was actually at your last meeting.
Okay. Yep. So I'll make that connection so you can come in, because we definitely want to push the agenda that the Black Caucus has right now, and we need to beef up the economic part of that agenda, and this will definitely help. So let's definitely continue to stay connected. I appreciate you jumping on this morning. This has been a whirlwind of a call today, to say the least. But it definitely solidifies what has been in my spirit all week, in terms of we can do more. This call is an example of we can do more. We have the resources, the intellectual capital, the access, the beginning of an epicosystem in so many ways. But at the same time, as our sister who joined in and shared that when we're building networks, when we're creating new ideas, when we are in the process of building, and we go through these those flight or fight moments where we're building and we're in a situation where fear takes over. It's important for us to fully understand what she shared as to what's actually happening when we get scared. And we have that moment between we're filled with desire and passion to create all the things that matter to us as leaders and trying to make a difference in our businesses and our communities. But at the same time, there is a real factor of fear and why it's there. Why do we even react? Why does fear even matter to us? And being able to unpack that level of trauma, I think, is something that we need to do a deeper dive in. If we're really serious about making a difference in all the areas that we care about, this is just purely an example of what we have to do. Like we need more time to dive in, more organized efforts like this call today that focuses on health and wellness in a way that touches the mind, body, and spirit. And trust me, I can you listen to my words today. It will happen this year. This is the year where all of this is going to become not just again our own little thing where the amount of people who chose to wake up and join the call this morning where we benefited and maybe we shared what we heard with other people. This is the beginning of a mass produced effort to not only be of benefit to our lives and our families, but to really reach those we'll probably never see with our own eyes. That's the beginning of what we're rolling out here. And I think that this call just really set the tone for where we're headed. We usually try to reference a lot of some of the books that we're reading. You guys reference a lot of good stuff today. A lot of good stuff. The one that was the body keeps score. I'm definitely jumping on that. I think there was another one. Zebras don't get ulcers. That's another one I saw here. Oh man, just so much good stuff today. I think I led with we talked about the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, which really highlights the law of giving and receiving. I've also actually this week, I should say this month, I started maybe last week, Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. It's actually it passed. You'll like this. It's a 27-hour book on Audible. I think right now I'm at the point like he hadn't fully gone to prison yet. So it's right before, they're calling him a treasonous, traitor, if you will. But just unbelievable stories. I don't know who's read that book, but this is my first time reading it, and it is life-changing, really. I can't wait to finish it and we can unpack it in great detail. But we are past 9 o'clock here. So I know this is the type of call that usually we try to go about an hour and a half, but we are officially at 2 hours. But it's been so packed with information. My brain is completely exploded. I'm surprised I'm even able to communicate properly right now because there's so much that we took in on this call. And then there's just so much. I'm at a point now where, I just good information like this can't be just held to a small few. And we have to, and when I say we, it's when we hang up this call, I can tell you I will be in full active mode to begin to organize resources for us to make this to expand this conversation. So anybody else before we finish up just want to share and kind of give? I just want to thank everybody who joined and definitely for those on the call for the first time, we appreciate you. I'm glad you shared. And for all of our diehards who have just add so much value to this network, I can't begin to show my level of thanks and appreciation just for being a part of the network and just always being great. So always being great. But let's take a second, open the call now. Anybody have any parting words? We'll open up the call now.
I just want to say, Coach,
thank you. I was just shouting out synergy. So thank you, Dwayne, for calling your friend Janine and Lawrence. Thank you for dropping your staff. Everybody the synergy is definitely the movement. Like Byron said, the time is now. And one thing I've learned in my process is we got to take care of us first.
Yeah.
Before we have others. And it's just really important for that in the process so we can have what we need to be fortified to move forward to impact others. We can't help anyone in places that we haven't helped ourselves.
Yep.
And that's like blessing.
That's a fact.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with what you said more. I say the same thing. I say instead of us asking people to give us something, let's just take back what was rightfully ours. We have to come together like we have, and we just need to empower our own self, because no other culture is asking anybody for anything. They're just doing what they need to do for themselves.
My man.
Yeah. Another good one. Okay. I like that. This take back was ours. I'm playing around with this thing.
And I just want to say I appreciate you, Byron, for inviting me, and this was powerful. And I hope to be back with you guys. This is a weekly call.
It's actually a monthly call, the last Saturday each month. But I will definitely keep you plugged in, brother. I'm glad you joined in. It was great to connect last night. This is keep pushing, man. Keep pushing. We're behind you.
Thanks so much.
All right, Beast. We got two. We got takeaways. One, we got some real good ones today. First of all, and selfishly, for me, the box breathing thing. Thank you, John Santa, for laying that out for us. And then also, I would put a challenge out to everybody that as stress or things come in, just throw the technique in. Give it, try to box breathe, and see if you can get a little more clarity. I personally know that it works, but it's something that you have to be conscious of and actively doing when those things arise to kind of center yourself and get yourself back right. And it definitely works. It does work. And it's so simple, but it definitely works. So I thank you for going through that. And Lawrence, the Anthony, but the brain and how it works is so important. And I would challenge us to, go to your phone, pull up a picture, a half-cut version of the brain, and just see where those areas are. And so you have a real visual to go with it. So as you get that stress, you can envision your actual hindbrain, that stem and that vagus nerve and all that stuff happening. You say, oh, okay, I see what's happening. This particular area is firing right now. Let me calm down and get myself together and go in. So just to get a visual of it with the terms that we learned today, I think is a beautiful thing. So that's the two things that I'm gonna do, for the next month and try to apply them so we can get better.
It's amazing. All this started with you talking about going on your water fast.
That's all I was going to say. All this whole conversation, because we're talking about you went on a water fast, and look where we ended up. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I love my brother and something that he calls, because it just goes. It just goes. Unscripted.
Oh man.
But at the same time, I want to thank the doctor as well.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm going through some dental work that could have been prevented years ago, and even at an older age, my dentist told me. He said, "Well, you could do nothing, and you'll be good because you don't have an immediate need." But when he talked about teeth loss at around the age of 70, I'm like, well, I want to preserve my teeth as long as I can.
Yeah.
He said, if that's how you feel, then let's go and get the work done. So I had the work done. And so when the doctor was talking about the importance of dental hygiene, I just was like, I was right there with her. So
yeah.
I appreciate that. And everything we said pretty much went full circle. So I just love this, call. I love this family. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Oh man, we love you, brother. I tell you, it's I listen, and I kind of skimmed over this, but you guys got to go check out Dr. Dana's new office. Like, so she has her dental practice that's in Bolton Hill, but her new practice in Harbor East, which is literally on the corner of like Fleet and I think Fleet and Eden, I believe. I don't know, right there, right across from Central. Or it's right, I think it's Central, Fleet and Central. Yeah, it's right across from where Black Swan, where everybody goes now, right? And so prime real estate. and just, it's amazing. Again, we were talking about, just how this thing has just flourished. So yeah, go check her out, man. And she's, like you said, the fact that she's focusing on comprehensive dentistry, which really focuses on the whole body. Yeah, so this is just great. I'm gonna hang up, man. I have so much. My brain is on fire right now. Like, so we could end up another hour here, man. And I want to go to this basketball game at 1:00. So let's. But hey, if you're in Baltimore, come out and support CIAA this weekend, man. Go to a game. Just be out. It's just a blessing this week. And that's it. I'm gonna stop right there. It's been great. Listen, let's stay on it. Let's go into March with just a fresh objective. Be on the lookout and actually go to our website. We've been making some real changes. There's so much to talk about, but I'm not going to dive into it right now. But go to our website, dreammakersnetwork.org, dreammakersnetwork.org. The launch is happening right now. The launch is happening, a new membership model. It's just a blessing. I'm kind of floating on air right now, to be honest with you. But go to the website, dreammakersnetwork.org. Lots of resources. This call will be there on our videos as soon as we finish up. We have a whole catalog of information, and it's just a blessing. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend. Let's finish February strong. I think we've learned a lot in this conversation to help us get over the hump of whatever it is that we're going through right now. This call definitely should be enough to help you get over the hump. But let's go into March really with a focus on how do we continue consistency of doing the right things to progress. And we look forward to connecting with you guys on the call next month. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Be blessed.
Real quick, that website again, real quick.
Yep, it's dreammakersnetwork.org.
Network. Thank you.
All right, guys.